Hey, retail rock stars. How are you doing today? Today is the next episode of the Retail Leasing Playbook podcast. We will be talking about chapters 20 and 21 today. So chapter 20, the title is Become an Active Member. If you follow me, you have heard me say a bunch of times, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. We as retail leasing agents have a few communities, a few groups that really need to know who we are. It's not important to have 6,000 contacts in your CRM. It's important that you've got 100 people who know who you are. So for example, the audiences that I am concerned that know who I am are tenants, local tenants, national tenants, and tenant rep brokers. For me to lease my space and my spaces in my shopping centers, those are the three audiences that I need to make sure that they know who I am. So how do you do that? Well, for local tenants, the best way that I found, besides, of course, you know what I'm going to say, canvassing, is to join your local Chamber of Commerce. Now, joining your local Chamber of Commerce is not enough. You have to be active. But you really only have to be active the first 6 months. If you can join the city that your property is located in, that Chamber of Commerce, and if you can attend those meetings 6 months in a row, you will have cemented people knowing who you are and what you do. And then after that, you can go every 3 or 4 months. That's how I've done it, and I have become known in my communities because let's kind of talk about this. An average Chamber of Commerce has about 300 members. And of those 300 members, 30 rent space in shopping centers. And unlike the ICSC conferences where we're butting up against hundreds of our competitors, at the Chamber of Commerce meetings, there's rarely a retail leasing agent sitting next to you. So at these breakfasts that they usually have monthly, you have an opportunity to get up and say who you are. Hey, I'm Beth Azor. I own Shops of Arrowhead, or I lease Shops of Arrowhead down the street, and we're looking for an insurance agency, an Italian restaurant, and a boutique gym. And if you get up every day and every month and say that at the breakfast and hand out flyers, people will get to know who you are. They'll say, oh, there's the shopping center lady or the shopping center guy. And usually about the third or fourth meeting, I'm having dialogue with someone whose lease is coming up for renewal, who has a friend who's looking for space, and it's very productive. Now, in the beginning, it's very important, or really all the way through, is you need to be a resource. Like if someone walks up to you and says, my lease is coming up for renewal, what do you think the rental rates should be? Help that person out. Don't immediately go to the selling mode. Because if you do that, it's going to look slimy. It's going to look like that's the only reason you're there. And even if that's true, you don't want people to think that. So respond to them, help them, say, oh, I think the rental, I've heard the rental rates in that market are X. I've done a recent market study. If you'd like me to send it to you, I'd be happy to. Become the commercial real estate shopping center expert in your chamber. Cement that over 6 months, and you will be golden. You will get the Chamber of Commerce president will start sending you leads. It's really a great area for you and a great place for you to expand the knowledge of the people who know you and your community as the leasing agent of ABC Shopping Center. The other community of people that we want to make sure that know who we are the Tenant Rep Brokers. It's very important that the Tenant Rep Brokers know that you lease ABC Shopping Center. So often what I'll do is maybe I'll go to their offices, I'll bring them coffee, we might do a portfolio review if they have a bunch of brokers, maybe host a happy hour where we invite 10 tenant rep brokers and maybe have our properties on easels around the room. So that's just a group. They are the conduits, right, to the national retailers many times. So it's very important that you have a good reputation with them, that when they call you for market information or sales information, you're helpful, so that they can get to know you as a resource. And then because you have a good relationship, you maybe get the jump ball sometimes when their tenant is really trying to decide between your property and another property. And also it's important that your firm, if you are a landlord, that you pay these brokers quickly and with little argument. A few years ago, I kept fighting a bunch of local brokers because it seemed like their fees were going up and up and up. And at one point, I stopped and I said, let me look at how many deals last year involved a co-broker, and would they not have happened without those brokers? And I found that 68% of my, I think, 2017 deals came from co-brokers, and I stopped fighting them as much. I don't give them 6% on 10 years, but I went back and talked to my partners. We changed our commission agreements to where Kara, my leasing agent today, would not be shortchanged if I gave the co-broker a little more. And because, you've got to keep up with the market. And if you're doing a bunch of deals with co-brokers, it's important to pay them quickly on time and close to what the market rates are. So that's chapter 20, which is become an active member. Engage those groups, whether it's the chamber group for your local tenants or tenant rep broker, happy hours, etc. And that's really goes right into chapter 21, which it says befriend the tenant rep brokers. So it's the same thing that I just did. Always invite tenant rep brokers to meet you for coffee, or you take coffee to their office. Make sure they know who you are. Make sure that you give them the heads up on spaces that might be coming available. If you know that tenants might not be renewing, maybe you've got some contiguous space that's not generally open to the eye. Like if they're touring your space and they don't realize that this guy might be leaving and that might open up a larger space. So continually engage in open conversations with your tenant rep brokers, help them out, post on social media, when they help you close a deal, give them a lot of kudos. And I think that you'll have a lot more deals and a lot more attention from them in the future. I hope you enjoyed chapters 20 and 21 and today's podcast. And if you did, I would love for you to subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends. See you next week.